success. We want them, whenever somebody comes in to join the company, um, we have to make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. We're great at finding people. We're great at attracting people and recruiting people. And then we got to make sure that they go from starting in this factory to they go through the factory and they come out the other side as a full-blown leader that are able to go be great producers and great recruiters as they go forward. So we want you to make sure that we do a great job of that, and we're committed to that. And that's what we're trying to build here virtually and also in person. So these are great times. So we got a great comments for tonight. Let's go ahead and get started. Turn it over to Kimberly and Zach. They're excited. Their daughter came home for spring break, so their little nest is a little fuller, which makes them very happy. So turn it over to these guys, and we'll talk to you a little bit about what I think is one of the easiest things to sell people on, and that's just the magic of this moment in terms of what's happening in the marketplace and some never befores and maybe never again type situations. So, Kimberly.
Well, hey. Thanks, Jody, and obviously welcome to Thursday night and happy new dad day to Adam. I need to send me a picture of that baby so I can see it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad everything is great, and congrats to Jonathan and congrats to all of you for showing up and being here and investing your time in your business, because that's what's going to matter, right? That's how you succeed is being here, showing up, and then taking things and putting it into action. So we've had a lot of conversations lately, and Jody just did a perfect lead in about, some things that are happening in the world right now that might not ever happen again. And I remember during COVID, we had a virtual conference because, it was COVID, right? And that was really interesting. It was actually a great time, but it was a virtual conference, and we were all in our different spaces with our convention backgrounds and all of that, giving our presentations to our HGI world and community. And Hubert asked us to speak about windows of opportunity during that time. And I think it was interesting because at that time, it was still early. Nobody really knew what was going on and what was going to happen and how long it was going to last and how bad it was going to be. But he had the forethought enough to say this, there is also a window of opportunity here, right? And so it always makes me think, like we talked about it then, and we talked about obviously windows opening and closing, and we talked about how pilots use windows of opportunity. But it since then, I think about that, and I think about it in a different light, and I think about it through a different lens. And so today, Tim sends a couple of us a text every day with just kind of a market update and what's going on and kind of the major headlines. And he sent one that I thought was really, really interesting. And ultimately, it is a perfect window of opportunity. So when I started looking at it today to talk to you guys and see, what we should talk about and how this goes to everything that we do, I wanted to share this with you. And obviously, windows of opportunity, you guys know, are basically these short periods of time when a decision can be made that can produce an outcome, right? But it's only a short period of time. And those windows of opportunity are often fleeting with an end date, right? So we have to be aware enough of what's happening around us to capture those moments. Remember, and some of you guys might remember, but I'm sure you've heard me tell the story. I'm sure you've heard Jody tell the story. But we were in, I think it was Top Gun this year, and we were in a North American meeting, and one of the speakers at the front of the stage said just an interesting statistic, and he said that there were more licensed insurance agents over the age of 80 than under the age of 30. And we hear that all the time. Jody says that the average insurance agent looks like him, right? He makes that joke all the time. So we hear it all the time. We see it all the time. But really putting it, you do say that, Jody. But really,
It is true.
but
60-year-old
putting it,
white guy.
yeah, but putting it in that context of more licensed insurance agents over the age of 80 than under the age of 30, to me is a huge window of opportunity. And then today, and I'll share my screen with you just so you guys can see, but today on Tim's little text that he sends out every day, one of the headlines that he sent was about millennials. And he said that millennials are set to become the richest generation in history. Why? Because as a company and as the world knows, and we've been talking about forever, more money is being set to move from one generation to the next right now over the next decade, right? And that generation, those born between 1980 and 1994, are set to become the richest in history, both from investments and obviously regular investments, but also real estate investments and equity in houses. And so all of those people are going to hold the wealth of the world, right? And that's the same group that is underserved by their age group, right? That don't have insurance agents, don't have financial advisors, at least people their ages. It was interesting because I was like, how old really is a millennial, right? Like we talk about millennials all the time. And I was like, how old are millennials? Because, I'm still like 25. And so I'm probably a millennial and I just don't know it. But
Just because you want to be rich.
just because I want to be rich. I want my mama to give me a lot of money, for sure. But ultimately, I was like, how old is a millennial? And so millennials, for those of you that don't know, were born between 1981 and 1996 based on this chart. So they're anywhere from 28 to 43 years of age.
Yes.
So, I was like, I hear a baby.
No, that was me saying yes. I guess I am a millennial.
So,
But I do feel like a baby boomer now, so it's okay.
Right.
see, yeah, happens. So anyway, as I was looking through this and talking about this and just trying to impress upon you how important it is to add millennials to your team, right? They are entrepreneurs at heart anyway. They need an opportunity. They want to make more money. Their entire mission as a group is to serve people, right? They're very crusade driven and very mission oriented. But then I start looking this up today, preparing for this conversations, and it says millennials and insurance sales are the perfect match. As the average insurance agent in America reaches retirement age, they're making room for younger agents in an industry that's already perfect for millennials. Why? Right? We know why, because there's a big opportunity, right? And there's a big need. There's a big need now for millennials because they just need to get their life in order. But imagine if you start working with them now as their advisor, and as they start, inheriting all this money, who's going to be poised to help them if you don't hire them and put them on your team for them to help all of their friends and family? So I just think it's an important point to look at. I think when you're talking to younger people out in the marketplace today, and you're out recruiting and hiring that generation, right? The millennials, I think it's a big story. And I think where we have a big need, we have windows of opportunity that we can come in and we can help, and we can solve those problems and really grow and succeed. And I think it's a big piece for those guys, but also you to understand. And maybe some of you are millennials, but apparently I'm not. So, but anyway, just to grow your business and to really work towards that and make that part of your market share, because it's a
Hey,
huge.
Kimberly, I think, and I don't know if I was paying attention, but I don't think you said this, but it was that point I made earlier when you and I were talking. Listen, sometimes you'll go get a millennial client and you're thinking they're a small client right now. You better treat them right, because that little fish you got may be having a whole lot of money coming their way. And if you're their advisor, they're going to stick with you. So don't forget that. And I think what she just told you was recruiting gold. I mean, you can go recruit millennials to let them know, hey, the flood's coming, let's go build the ark. And I think it's a huge recruiting tool.
Well, it's the next wave of IUL sales. If you get out there and tell the right story, these guys don't have a lot of money tied up behind the tax wall. They're not already deep invested into their 401k or 403b.
Yeah.
You're already hearing terms and thinking about why a Roth instead of a traditional, because they understand those things. So you're not even going to have to teach that piece of the message as much as you are the drawdown, the backside. Why would I do it in an insurance product instead of a Roth? I mean, it is we need one or two of them that catches fire that goes out and blows up social media and goes out and blows up their marketplace to create an absolute explosion in your business. And I honestly, when we started 20 something years ago,
We were millennials of,
We were-
of the yesteryear.
we were too young, right? We were
It's called
outside.
Gen Xers.
We were
We
outside
were
of those.
millennials then.
Yeah, we were outside of those key numbers, right? We weren't even well, I guess we were married when we started in this industry, but when we
Married.
started in the team building industry or world, we were not. So we were outside of every person's statistical group of somebody that would be successful. But when we did that, the top 3 or 4 people that we were always competing against in that company to be at the top were all the young people that hadn't failed yet, or if they had, they hadn't failed enough to quit. That they didn't know what couldn't be done. You know, the older you get, and I'm not saying don't recruit people that you know look like us, because we're not done yet. But what I'm saying is that the kids that are looking for opportunity, the kids that have all the stars in their eyes about what can be done and all those kind of things, that's where we need to grow this future from. It's filling in from the back. I see James's hands up.
Oh, you're muted. I muted you. Hold on. Let me find you. Can you unmute you?
I can unmute me. I got it. You know, I think everything you're saying, I think you're hitting the nail on the head on this one, because, you know, the reality is that even Northwestern Mutual, a lot of their representatives that come on board come direct as interns in college. In fact, that's how I got my license, was an internship with Northwestern Mutual. And had I not done that, I would not be I don't know if I ever got my license. So
What did they tell you to call when you started your internship?
And that's I tell you, I know Armando was looking at going to Northwestern Mutual, and I've been thinking a lot about that. Oh, you got a shoebox. You fill out a whole shoebox. That was their lead system.
Yeah.
And friends, family. And it's like you got to show up with over 200 people to that first event, and if you don't, they hazed us. We had to actually wear a shirt that said I didn't hit my 200 list. It's like I don't know if they do that anymore,
I'm writing
but
that
that's
down.
what it,
Take notes, Jody.
Yeah, we got
But-
it.
but I mean, but a lot of those folks that, you know, they get started there, and again, and they're just selling. They're sell. They're not recruiting and creating agency brokerages like we are, which is so much of an amazing, more, you know, better model. But again, hey, they're young, they're hungry, and we all know that the compounding effect with young people getting IULs. So I think it just makes sense.
Awesome. Amanda, your hand's raised too. I see.
Yeah, I'm Gen Z. I was born in 2005. I'm 18 years old, and like majority of us are just, you know, searching for college and stuff. And you guys see us like like kids. We're still kids, you know. Like I live with my parents. Like they support me. I just only have to pay $50 per month, so I don't have any responsibility. So right now, at the moment, this is the time that I have to invest, because I have the time and I have the money, because I work too. So I think this is a great opportunity for Gen Z too, for the new people here, the youngest people
For
here.
the new millennials.
Well, yeah, it's Gen Z. So.
I'm just kidding.
So I think Gen Z is they are seeing like a good opportunity in sales, because college is not for everybody. And now we're more into, we know about that. We know about like, if we do a career, we have to actually work for it, because if we don't do it, it's going to be like a lot of debts until we're like 40 or 50. So we have to actually think about that. Like if you're actually like into engineering or like medicine, like makes sense if you want to do that career, because it's going to give you the assets at the end of the day, you know, to pay that debt. But if you are working, if you want to work with sales, is better not to do it at college. It's just this opportunity or any other sales, but this is better than doing college and studying business management, business administrations, because I think I did a certification in business management and I didn't learn anything. I learned like from AGI than there. So I think this is a big, you know, opportunity for us, Gen Z. So it's just more than that, you know, more than
Amanda, can you come talk to my kids, please? Do you want to visit California? Come to
will.
LA.
Send me the but I will teach them everything. that
Amanda,
I
please, 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 please.
And please
You're
too.
doing TikTok and all those amazing things at your age and telling the whole world your age and beyond how great this industry is, because we need more people like you with big voices.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jonathan? I like on his hand.
Yeah. Amanda, please come talk to my 4 kids. I mean, please.
We'll just have an Amanda call for all of our kids. How about that?
Listen.
Can you repeat? My song is here.
Hey, you know, listen. Yeah, I tell you what, though, guys, it's really interesting on this is that this kind of segues to the next part we're talking about, but we can overlap on this, and that is the power of targeting. You do have to have target marketing on this. You really do. I think there's no reason in the world that we don't have a Gen Z night. If we don't want that, we don't have a millennial night, and if we don't along the way, because I mean, Amanda reminds me a lot of my daughter Melanie, kind of the same look, same feistiness, and that kind of thing. And so I think that's a great idea. And I know we got Sergio on here too, and he's a young guy and still tearing it up and doing great things. So we can let's do that. I mean, I'll give you my word that we'll make sure that happens. We want to target. I mean, and that's
And
true.
I
of all
promise
places.
you,
Yeah.
they want to hear from y'all, not us. My
No, they
daughter
do.
Emma joined
Yeah.
a while back, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Mom, y'all are
Yeah.
old." You know, she's like,
That's true. But then all the way up to we can have a senior a senior call. I'm not. We can do it all the way through every strata because everybody feels the same way. Believe it or not, when I tell you this, if you're 18, that you're going to feel the same way we're all the way to 80. It's just how we all feel this. We all still feel like we're all the same young age, but that's great stuff. And we do need to be very targeted because first of all, you got to have massive imperfect action is how you start. But at some point, you want to target that massive imperfect action into massive perfect action if you can. Now I know that's if you know what I mean. So we're gonna hone in and we're gonna have massive imperfect action within silos to or verticals, if you will. We'll call them verticals if we know we're gonna go after, and you can take this all the way across the board to other stuff. So if Kimberly, anything else on that before I switch gears?
I think Jonathan, were you finished, or did you have something else you want to say?
So all I wanted to say was on the flip side of that, great message, by the way. I think we're really pushing our younger generations. But on the flip side of that, our team, we've had a couple people that have come in there that they're a little bit older and maybe they're not on the recruiting side of it. They come in, they think they are, but they kind of spaz out a little bit and maybe they want to go just the product side. So I think we do also have to keep that avenue open to where they know that they come in. You don't have to be this massive recruiter. You don't have to be, if that's not who you are, you know, in the older years per se, you can just come in and really just be a producer.
You know,
And
that's
so
the beauty.
that's all
That's
I
the
wanted.
beauty, Jonathan. No, absolutely, and that's kind of what I was, starting to head toward is that there's a new guy we have on the team. He's Gina's recruit guy that she led me to, and I've had the chance the last couple of days to talk to this guy, and I look forward to him. He'll be on the call tonight at 9, and he's already in the business, but he'll be on, and you'll love him. He's going to be a big part of what we do. But Gina's and I don't know if you can unmute yourself, Gina. I know you got some things you're doing, but Gina can tell you.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Gina, tell him a little bit about the conversation we had that first Zoom with that guy about how, what was your take from that?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
When we had the first Zoom with Taurus, tell him a little bit about that.
As in what part? Just like why
What did you take from it, and what did you think was the most powerful thing that he took from it? Because I'm going to segue that into what we're going to train on next.
Well, he loved everything about what we offer and what we, as in building the team. and recruiting. I mean, he really, really loves that part of it. And he just loved everything about it. I mean,
No, he did, and here's kind of real quick. Here's what happened, and this kind of goes right to this whole story. And he'll tell his own story at the right time. But when I talked to him, he had joined the industry as a young guy with in his licensing class. Somebody recruited him to WFG, and he didn't really know what the company was, and so he didn't do much. But then ultimately, he joined Primerica because he loved team building. And he
yes.
went full bore into team building on this side. He's going 100 miles an hour and built a reasonable team, never could get to like the RMD position, won some trips, and then got burned out on that because it didn't turn into money. And he didn't like the lack of diversification. And he went to the whole other side. He went polar opposite to the FFL model, which is straight sales at a high contract. Said, I just want to sell. And then he was over there, and then we got to talking, and I said, what if you could do this? Go right smack in the middle and have both sides. It's exactly what we said, and he just absolutely loved it. He's like, does that exist? And that's what's awesome is that we have that whole thing, the whole plan where somebody can come in, whether they're a senior, older baby boomer, younger baby boomer, Gen X, millennial, all the way down to whatever, to Gen Z. We have got that, and we can absorb them at what they want. That is why it's so important that we listen to people, hear what they want, and let them see how this business can fit what they do. So let's move to the part 2 of the training, okay? And this is, where do we go build our business from? Now there's four specific vertical silos, or whatever you want to call them, 4 ways, methods that you have to have in your business. All 4 of these, as you're building your business, you want to have all these things happening. Now, as you start, you don't have to have them all happening, but there are 4 ways in today's world that a person can come in and build their business. The first one, straight out of the manual, and James did a great job talking about these at our event a couple of weeks ago. And the first one's your natural market, right? Your list of who do you know, and you need to write your prospect list, and you got to keep that prospect list alive. I carry a little bag around with my new cards, and there's always the newest cards. That's the least sophisticated way you're going to ever see it. But I always have my new group on here, so I always have new names. Understand that no one on this call was on my original prospect list. It all came to me as I went forward, whether it was through a referral or whether I was out, when I found James and when I found Mauricio and all that stuff. That was in the natural course of events. But the rest were things that were added to my list as I went. So as you start out, you got to have your natural list, which means you put out a name dump. That you put out everybody you could think of, anyone you come in contact with, and you write those names, right? And then you friendship form, which means you're continually looking for and finding people around you that you want to put into your list, okay? And then the other thing is, we're going to have some targeted seminars. Today, when I was recruiting this guy for Gina, I was at the Buckhead Club, and while I was there, Edward Jones on the other side was having a seminar filled in this real nice place of people that were there to learn about getting older and how Medicare supplement could help them and how they needed to have a will and a trust. There's no reason in the world that we don't have. No reason in the world that we don't listen to all those things here. For example, why don't we have here a seminar at the home office to where we're going through and we're going over any one area. For example, we could have a generational wealth night, and we invite people here on a theme. Make it a theme night. You can make your bot classes around the theme if you wanted to. And I just think it's a way to go get people. We used to have economic summits. Kimberly and Zach, you want to talk for a minute about how powerful those were?
Yeah, they were magical. When we had economic summits, we had, everybody invited to it, and we had rooms that we had to open up borders, right? To allow more people to come in. And we had Paul Dietrich come in town one time and talk, kind of give a state of the union of the economy, what was happening, and just different people talking about what's going on in the world around us. And people loved it because it was just education, right? Zach and I were just talking years ago in our first life. We had a mortgage division to our company, and we hosted mortgage seminars, and people came always just to hear that education,
And we
right?
call them smart money workshops. So people will come to listen and hear about strategies and do that kind of thing. And for whatever reason, I don't want this to be an excuse for anybody, but people will invite to an educational seminar more than they'll invite to a business opportunity presentation. But at the end of every single one of those, when I was given the seminar, I get to the end of it and I would say, if you like what you heard tonight and you think other people need to hear about it, just so you know, we're expanding. So if this is sounds like something you'd want to do, let us know. And our team grew like crazy through that. So like you said, silos, tools, there's no reason to stay
Marketing on all fronts.
Listen, is everybody write this down, attack on all fronts. Well, that means as you build this business, you don't have to go do all these things at once, but no, they're all viable. We need to provide for you all these. That's my commitment. That's Zach and Kimberly's commitment. That's Greg's commitment and James's commitment and Adam's commitment on here to go and make sure we have a machine that's on all fronts and you take advantage of these. But I'm here to tell you you don't think Edward Jones is a pretty successful little deal? Oh yeah, they're massive, gargantuan. And that's because they just go focus on nothing but seminars. The seminars sell people. And Charlene's sitting here beside me, and the economic summit was in her neighborhood. It was at the clubhouse in her neighborhood. And we had 100 people that came into a real nice country club setting who would just invitation only. And I think we fed them. I can't remember what we did, but they came to hear Paul Dietrich. And so we can have those events. We can have them here at the office. We get product providers here. We can do it virtually. We can have a virtual economic summit where someone can come. We ought to try that. That's actually a pretty good idea. So, but the point is, they're product oriented things. That's what Rosangela and Sergio did. They have these days to where they base them around education. They teach people some tax planning principles, and they get all kinds of people in the building, and from there they build a hierarchy. They go do that, and they build big teams. So that's there. So you got your natural market along with having those seminars. Okay, now then. The other one is the alliances, your cousins, right? That's where you go out and you find someone in that vertical where this just goes right in with what they do. Realtors, CPAs, and mortgage professionals. Some of you don't understand the power of this. It is timely. People want to know this stuff. James, you want to walk through just for a second the conversation we had the other day with your mortgage guy? Because that was really your first time seeing just how powerful this was with the mortgage guy. James, are you there? Well, we have two of the best mortgage people in the world here. So Zach and Kimberly, if you'll take that and talk about why, when you're talking to a mortgage professional, why this fits right in with them.
Well, mortgage people take applications, right? They take loan applications. And on that loan application, your goal is to buy a house, right? Or to refinance that house. And you want that house more than anything in this world. So you're going to put everything on there truthfully, right? You're going to talk about your income. You're going to talk about your assets. You're going to talk about your debt. All right there in front of you. So there's a natural roadmap, if you will, or treasure map, I guess, to sit down and weave in that financial conversation. They are making big financial decisions at that moment. How much money should they put down? Should they get a 30-year fixed or a 15-year fixed? And just understanding strategies at that moment to bleed into the conversation about the entire financial plan and how everything works together is a big deal. So, and also as mortgage people, they're pigeonholed. They're a one-stop shop. They make money on mortgages, period, right? And so teaching them to diversify their income by teaching them to talk in that same conversation, because they're already having the conversation, right? In that same conversation, teaching them to talk about the entire picture, and let's talk about strategies, and let me give you some suggestions, and talk about, do you have life insurance to cover your mortgage? It's just a perfect blend to what we do. So I know you were talking to James about his team, but we've got a big real estate and mortgage group that just came on board, and they're all
Yeah.
excited about blending this in their organization, because they think it is a trifecta, right, between real estate, mortgages, and insurance, and investments. But also, they all are entrepreneurs. They know how this world works, right? They do have to go out and build their business and network and gather trust of other people. So they're used to doing that. So it just allows them to diversify their income, talking to the same clients that they're already talking to anyway. And to me, that's a win-win-win. You can help them more. They become your clients forever, because it's not just a one transaction kind of thing. And they're making more money too, which is a big deal. It helps everybody. So it's a win-win-win.
It's also a very big window of opportunity to kind of circle back around right now, because when things are good, you can't talk to realtors about doing anything but real estate
Or mortgage.
or mortgage people. When the mortgage rates are low and everybody wants to refinance or buy, you can't get those people distracted, because they won't look away because things are too good. Well, right now is a window of opportunity where, rates stink. If you're trying to buy or refinance a house right now, you're paying twice what you would have been 6 months ago, per month anyway. But those guys, their business is slower. And I talk to realtors and mortgage people, and all professionals are proud of their industry and what it has done for them. So there's a lot of them that are going to say real estate's not in a bad place. That's fine. Overall, there are going to be people in real estate that are still knocking it out of the park, but that number has gone way down. So there are a lot of people that were trying real estate or that got their real estate license in the last couple of years that are looking around going, well, this isn't as nice as I thought it was going to be.
Or how do I hang on until it comes back?
How do I stay in the game? And giving them multiple streams of income and teaching them how to take all those parts and integrate the HGI opportunity and what we offer can keep them alive, can keep them self-employed, can keep them, in this side of things, keep them from having to go back and get a job again. So.
Well, absolutely. And that exact same verbiage is true with CPAs and realtors, and for a little bit of different reasons, but for the same purpose. But the point is this, is that these guys, you need to have a plan of attack to go see each one of these people, whether it's, what we said before, which is whether it's CPAs, realtors, or mortgage professionals. Just know that as you put your plan, it may not look, I'll tell you right now, don't start with that. For most of you, you can't go start with that and think you're going to have success, because you don't know how to talk that talk. You got to earn the right. If you're from that industry and you get your chops up here and you become successful, then you can go over and talk to that group. But know that group's there, and know that you can work with them. So that's that vertical. Then the third thing, so you got the natural market, which includes also building friendship, farming, and seminars. Then have the alliances, which we just talked about. The third thing is that you got to have a technology plan. I don't care how you do it. Get in and dip your toe into using ZyberZeus, even if you're just using it right now for your CRM, and then ultimately know how to be able to use your calendar. If I get a commitment, if I can know that we're going to get a good group in one place at one time to get really trained on ZyberZeus, we will have a training, and we're going to plan that over the next week. And so I'm going to get Mauricio to do a one-time thing for us to where just the fundamentals of that, so that people can really get it up and running. But it's awesome too. Listen, guys, I've seen things. I want to show you real quick. Amanda, you had your hand raised. Did you have another comment?
Yeah, I like 2 days ago, someone joined my team, and I didn't know he was. I knew that he was real estate. So I was like, okay, we also in HGI, we have something with real estate. So I didn't know much about the mortgage insurance, and I searched about American Amicable, and I talked to Paula Ferrero, and she taught me everything that is that way, so I can tell him that he also have opportunity with that with us. You know what I mean? So got into real estate, and also it sells mortgage insurance. So I think we know our client or the person that we want them to join our team to know what they're doing first or something like that. Like any detail is important, you know. So if we know something before, we have to prepare ourselves to know enough to talk about it. So also that's I don't know, that's important to me too.
I know, absolutely. And I think another way of just kind of adding on to that is that whatever market you're going after, you got to know what we like. If you're going after the fish, you got to know what lure gets them. You got to know what bullet to use. If you're going to talk to somebody, you need to know how to talk the talk and to be prepared on that. But what I want to show you down that third silo about technology is I had the opportunity to be into. Can you see this picture? Okay, by the way. Yeah, I'm going to be. I was up in New York, New Jersey, and while I was there, I ran over to an office that we already had there and walked in unexpectedly, unannounced to these guys, and it was quite spectacular because that's one of Aki's offices, and it's a tremendous group that's up there. But then we went there, and this whole group was built by Mauricio and Peter, just totally off of technology. By going out and just having a consistent plan of using technology, having a consistent message. And this lady right here, I think you can see it with the arrow here. This was a Primerica lady who's very successful, $1 million type producer there. And she had gotten out of the industry. And so she had a baby and thought she'd stay at home. She didn't have time. Then she kind of wanted to get back and be in the business again. And so she started going online and looking, and all of a sudden she sees this Latino Wall Street and this Latin Talks plan that he has, which is just basically his marketing and branding of his message. And she watches that and starts following on it and goes, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And finally, she goes through all of his different funnels, things that he has, and figures out that it's the modern day version of what she had seen before. And I'm telling you, man, she's incredible. And he's got this whole army of people, and all of it came just from using ZyberZeus and systematically using it. And I'm telling you guys, I watched it, I've seen it. So you want to have, if you do nothing but post consistently, that's the beginning of it. Learn how to create a strategy on that. And my point is, you want to have a strategy on all four of these silos as we go through here. And you don't have to go own them up front, but know that they're there and you want to use them going forward. Now, another picture that if you didn't see the other day, I did Leadership Live from Times Square, which was quite an event in and of itself because I'm holding my cell phone with homeless people walking around me, which I thought I was going to get stabbed on live television, but I didn't. And it was quite spectacular. That's actually us doing it, and you can see me down at the bottom right. But what I want to show you is this quote right here. I've read this and I shared it a little bit earlier, but it's so powerful to me. I'm not a big quote guy because there's so many quotes, but I want to create a sense of urgency. I want to change what we think's taken so long, and it doesn't have to take so daggum long. You can change your life like this. I fully expect Gina to come in here and be further in 30 days than people used to be at the end of a year. And I'm going to make sure that happens. And that's got to be to the next person and the next person. That's the same thing with Crystal, who's sitting right here. I mean, we're going to go do it right now from the beginning. And I love Elon Musk says, if you give yourself 30 days to clean your home, it'll take you 30 days. But if you give yourself 3 hours, it'll take you 3 hours. The same applies to your goals, ambitions, and your potential. And guys, that hit me right between the eyes because we can just wake up one day and get it done. You ain't got to drag this stuff out. I mean, absolutely, it's time for you to go make those things happen. So you got to have the natural warm market, alliances, technology, and then finally, you want to use some of the newer ways. Understand ways by using things like different leads and it isn't something for you to all go focus on, but know that those things are out there because it gets back to what Jonathan was saying earlier. We got people coming from all different walks of life. It's that if you bring in people in, you got people who are looking at this from all points of view, and you need to find out how they want to attack that. So that's hopefully very helpful for you. Any comments on any of those things? Any questions about what we just went over?
Hey, Jody, just a quick suggestion. When we
Yeah,
do
Greg.
these ZyberZeus, man, can we do a a literal workshop where we're setting it up while we're going through it?
Absolutely, yes. When we do it, that's what's going to happen. And we're going to film it also so that we can video it so that we can have it for the people coming behind us. Because yes, that's something I want to do like before I go to Hawaii, which is in a week. So I want to have that done immediately if we can. Because I know that's a big deal for you and several others that are on here. Anything else, Greg, you want to add? I love your perspective. Anything along the because I know you've had a lot of success with Robert and you guys and moving some money, and you've seen some good things happen and how we're serving the consumer.
Oh man, I love it. Being able to sit down with a client and put them in a position where they can go to bed at night, never have to worry about market loss, know they've got a guaranteed income for no matter how long God keeps them on earth. And it being Robert's stepdad, I mean, that really made it special, and to be able to help a family member out like that is not only a blessing to that particular family member, but certainly a blessing to Robert as well. And I want to congratulate him. He's been grinding. He deserves everything that's happening for him right now. I took a snapshot of him being on the leaders board and shot it out to everybody on WhatsApp and our group text as well. And man, just really proud of him, the growth that he's shown here and the leadership he's providing his team. He's stepping up in big ways, man. So very proud of him. And then what you're talking about with the 4 key areas, man, I mean, that's the name of the game. We've got to either embrace technology or we're going to get left behind by it. I mean, we can't be, cavemen when it comes to our industry and be set in our ways. So I'm super excited about everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, we are. I feel this. I don't know if you call it a quickening or an enlightening or whatever is where. I know I am understanding the system, and I also know that everyone that comes in the next generations that we got to accelerate it. And what happens is the 6 steps and 8 filters. Now understand this, guys, it never changes. The 6 steps and 8 filters right here never changes. None of this ever. Prospecting is the first one. We're just telling you, nobody you're not going to do a horse and buggy just because you used to do a horse and buggy. I mean, you're going to get in your car and go, and that's the world that we're in. We're in a world where we have these incredible tools of which we will not be left behind. I commit to you. We had calls this afternoon and looking at some things, that I think can be thermonuclear weapons. I know cyber can be. And we're going to use it. We're going to have great things happen right now, and it's going to happen big and fast. And there's these people out there. I mean, all it is exposures and activity. If you open your mouth and talk to people and you get your message out continually, and you just see, understand this about technology. And I've been doing this all my adult life, and I sat last week in New Jersey, and I just listened to Mauricio's in their meeting as if I was brand new. To the best of my ability, I just listened. And when he said, he goes, what? Because think about this: that if you know that your presentation is 24 hours a day out there, and it's in a technology state, to where someone can go watch it, you may. It's always going. You're always giving a buck, continually giving a buck, 24/7. And I'm just like, man, that's true. If it's out there, I may catch something. If I've got the hooks in the water, I might catch a fish. And so if we're attacking on all fronts here, it's going to all explode in all different ways. But technology, as Greg was saying, is that we got to embrace it because. And understand it doesn't take the place of anything. You can never, as good as technology is, I'd go recruit somebody like a Gina who's a center of influence, and she says, hey, I know a couple of good people. And all of a sudden, all I know is that 3 weeks ago, I didn't have Gina and Kelly and Taurus in my base shop, and they're all animals. Now, that wasn't coming from social media. That came from a warm market person who knew good people. You can never beat that. There's nothing like what's happened with Omar, Robert, who's out, who knew Jonathan. I mean, that'll never be topped. But you have that going at the same time that you go have this other machine. And what happens is, why think about this? Why did Elon Musk buy Twitter? Because he knows that he can now, if he tweets personally 4 times a day, he reaches a continent every day with whatever message he wants. You don't think that's a powerful distribution system? How would you like to reach a continent every day? And that's what technology, it runs down the multiples, just like compound interest versus simple interest. You cannot run down, you cannot beat compound interest. I don't care how it happens, what it happens. That's why equity is such a big deal. Equity will always, in one fell swoop, overcome all your personal commissions, all your overrides. Those are all great, but they're nothing compared to an equity moment where you make more money in one fell swoop than you ever have. The day that integrity goes public, regardless if it's even a reasonable thing or not, I would have made a whole lot more money in one fell swoop than I ever have in recruiting and building. And I've been pretty good at it. And I work hard at it. But that's just how it works. And so you got to have these things happen. And that's what happens with technology. The numbers are so staggering. You cannot reach these people. And you can't reach the ones that are looking for you. Because if you do technology right, you can just find the people that are literally looking for you. I think there was a question. Was it Sarah? Did you have your hand raised?
Yes, I have a question. I just want to know, how does the company pay? Is it by the target or is by the premium?
You buy the target.
For me?
Every company pays by the target.
Even if it
on IUL, it's a target premium. Or hang on. If you underpay it, in most cases, it will pay the lesser of the target premium or the premium.
Okay.
And if you pay over it, then you'll get some money that goes in the excess, but it's not anywhere near the amount that you make on the target. And that's in general. That's a general answer to a specific question. I'd be glad to answer it in however you want to know. Does that answer it, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I'd be glad to go over a specific case, but that's a general answer. Just so I'll repeat that again. And if you don't know what she's talking about, it's okay. Don't worry about the question. We'll explain it to you later. But if you do, what she's asking is, do they pay on the target premium inside of an IUL or on the overall premium? And if they're underfunding it, they will pay the lesser of the two. And so, because we just had a case this past week to where a lady had James, what was it, $22,000 premium or target, and he got paid on $10,000. Is because they were only paying $900 a month on it. But if you would, James, real quick, while we got a little bit of time, I was calling you a minute ago to ask to talk to them a little bit about that conversation we had with that guy who ran the mortgage operation.
The mortgage operation. So Tashina, you're talking about from yesterday, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah, it's had a great 30-minute conversation yesterday with a potential new recruit with one of my base shop agents, and it's a gentleman that runs a mortgage company out here in Huntington Beach, California, and he's been in the business over 25 years. He's been running his own mortgage business for about 8-9 years now. Has been very successful in running it, and at the same time, though, he kind of has to, it's like you bob when you're in sales, you bob and weave, you roll with the punches, and we know that in real estate, boy oh boy, do they ever get punched. I mean, some years are great, some years are tough. And so, and through that journey and running that mortgage brokerage, he realized that during the tough years, he needed to have a vertical market. He needed to kind of look at doing some other things. So he tied in with a solar company on a referral basis. I think everyone's starting to hear solar, 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 right? Well, it started well, but unfortunately, the process of the sale kind of ends once the sale is made up for the homeowner with solar. And at that point, control is relinquished. It's given up, meaning that then now the control of actually installation and all that is on contractors. We have to come out and install the solar after the homeowners purchase the plan through the solar company. And there's really no control over that process. That whole back end process is there is no control. So it creates friction, it creates tension with the homeowners and the solar company, and conversely, that all comes back to him and his brokerage because he's the one that's, pushing the service. And so, service is everything. And so that caused him to get out of that vertical, if you will, and still keeping his radar open to other opportunities, but knowing and understanding that he wants to be a part of something that has more control, a better process from start to finish. And I think that's so indicative, especially, being in a service-driven business like we are. We have to be on top of it from start to finish. We can't drop the ball on our recruits. We can't drop the ball on the clients. And so the good news here is what we do and the distribution we create and the teams that we create and the leaders and everything. We have the manpower to be able to assist him, his agency, any number of clients that he sends our way. We can do it all. So, but it was good to know that, again, here's a guy that's in mortgage making big money when years are good. But then at the same time, also realizing that not every year is a diamond, that some years are coal, and that you got to have a plan B or a plan C to fall back on.
That's right. So thank you. I'd actually forgotten about that solar part, and I knew that was one of the things I wanted you to go over, because and so this guy's like, hey, I don't know if I want to add anything because this last one was a train wreck, and they could come here and see that this is fairly seamless. Just real quick as we wrap this up, because I want to take less than 2 minutes, because we got people that are here to get on the bop. What you need to do is that you need to diversify or your time, okay? And did you let that guy in to send? I don't know if anybody did or not. That's okay. They need to come back in a second. If someone has an Antonio invited on the call tonight, make sure they don't go anywhere. I think we forgot them. Reach back out, let them to be back on in just a second. But here's what needs to happen. If I'm Crystal and she says, okay, I've got 5 hours a day I'm going to put toward HGI, or whatever amount of time you say you have. You got to have X amount of time you're going to prospect, and then as you build your business, you need to, in your mind, think, what are my 2 areas on here of these 4 that are my strength? I'm going to focus on these 2. Well, you got to divide it up. You got to go out and make sure you're focused on all these, because if I'm building anywhere, if I try to make sure that I spend my time on this as I go through, and I make sure that I allot my time. Asset allocation means that you take your money and you diversify it up. Because if I sit down with Zach and he goes, I got $100,000, and I'm kind of I'm kind of conservative, and I like this, and then you can put it into a computer. It'll say, well, you need to split your money up this way. So much goes in the growth fund, so much goes into the income fund, so on and so forth. Here, the same thing in your business. Split your time up amongst all those areas of growth. So, guys, thanks for being on. Can't wait for next week. We got a great program lined up. If you didn't see last Wednesday's training,